G'day travellers, how's it going? Welcome back to No Man's Sky. In this video I'm going to explain all about frigates, what they are, what they do, every type and how to get them. I'll also give you some general tips on what to look for and how to use them, including fleet management, expeditions, upgrades, levelling up and a whole lot more. There's a fair bit of information to cover, so let's not muck around and get straight into it. So frigates are large ships that accompany a freighter. You can send them on expeditions and they'll bring back all sorts of valuable items, including resources, upgrades, and make you money. You can have a maximum of 30 frigates in your fleet. And there are 7 different types of frigate. Besides being good for combat, if your freighter is in the same system, a combat frigate which is not on an expedition can sometimes help you out with space battles. It will deploy a few ships with gold-coloured engine trails to help in the fight. Exploration frigates also have an artifact scanner you can use to locate ancient ruins in the current system. Industrial frigates generate a small amount of magnetised ferrite. Trade frigates generate units. And support frigates help save you fuel on your expeditions. These are good to have early on, but later in the game fuel will not be an issue for most players. Now pirate frigates are the same as combat frigates. And living frigates, these can have any specialty, and you can also change their specialty if you want. They can be a great addition to your fleet. There are also 3 frigates you get as a reward by completing the limited time expeditions that Hello Games release every few months. You can only get these by having completed the expeditions that have them. So if you're on console, you'll have to wait for Hello Games to replay that expedition in order to get the ones you want. If you're on PC, you can replay the expeditions whenever you like. Now each frigate has stats in 4 categories. These are combat, exploration, industrial, and trade. And every frigate will have a specialty which is reflected in their stats. All of these will improve over time as you send them on expeditions and the frigates level up. And by the way, the highest number you can have in one of the categories is 50. There is also a cap on the total points. This is the total of all the stats when you add them up together. I'm not sure what the maximum total is, as there are a lot of conflicting numbers and opinions on the internet. The highest number I've seen quoted is the cap is 108 points, but I don't think that's correct either. This one is my best, it's currently at 110 and has not finished levelling up yet, so it will get even better. I can tell you though that any frigate that has points that add up to over 100 is an awesome top 1% frigate. Also, each frigate comes with between 1 and 5 traits. Each frigate will have 1 trait that matches their specialty and up to 4 other ones. As they level up, they will gain traits, and once they reach S-Class, they will always have 5 traits. Now some traits may be negative when you first claim the frigate. This is not a big deal as they will improve over time and become positive. But if you want to have the best frigates, it's best to try and avoid any with negative traits if you can. Now the stats and the traits combine to give you the total overall effectiveness of the frigate. Now I just want to be clear, you don't need the best frigates. Even average frigates will allow you to succeed at expeditions. Chasing the best frigates is 100% not necessary, and it is really only for the people who like to try and get the best stuff they can for the satisfaction of doing it. Now to level up your frigates, you need to send them on expeditions. I'll explain more about expeditions later, but your frigates will level up at regular intervals as they complete expeditions. Now your frigates will level up after 4, 8, 15, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 and 55 expeditions. After you complete 55 expeditions with the frigate, they are maxed out and they won't gain any more points. Now every frigate in the game will level up for 55 expeditions. Even if you recruit an S-Class frigate, it will still level up for 55 expeditions. There are 10 levels in total, and you'll get 6 stat points at every level, meaning you'll get a total of 60 stat points for your frigate by completing 55 expeditions. You can tell if they are maxed by this little ring that shows the percentage to the next rank up. A frigate which has completed all 55 expeditions will no longer have this showing. Your traits will also increase at every level. You'll also get another 1, 2 or 3 points, which will go on the other traits. Okay, so let's talk about frigate class. Like all the other ships in the game, frigates come in different classes, but frigates work a little bit different. Each frigate will level up and become an S-Class as it completes expeditions. This happens automatically as you complete the levels. And this is super important. Because every frigate will get to S-Class on their own, you should completely ignore the class of the frigate when you're out looking to recruit them. The class does not matter. Once a B or even a C class is fully upgraded, it could end up being way better than the S class you found. I'll explain more about this shortly. But the important thing to remember is the class of the frigate is totally irrelevant when it comes to choosing what frigates you want to recruit, as every frigate will eventually become an S class. Okay, now you know about frigate types, stats, traits, leveling them up and the class, it's time to learn how to claim each type. You will find the 5 main frigates in almost every populated system, wherever you see system freighters. Each system usually only has 3 frigate types you can claim, so you will need to go to different systems to get all the different types. Also, the colour of the frigate is determined by the system, and there is no way to change the colour later. So if you want your frigates to have specific colours, you'll need to look in a system that has the colours you want. Now to claim a frigate, you simply fly up to a system freighter and look for any frigates with a green icon above them. These are the ones you can claim. If you already have 30 frigates, you will not see this icon. As you approach the frigate, you get a communication from the frigate captain. Enter the dialogue and you'll get the option to hire it. Just note these frigates can cost anywhere up to about 13 million for an S-Class one. And that's all there is to it on how to recruit the 5 main types of frigate. Now to claim a pirate frigate, you need to defeat a pirate dreadnought. Once the battle is over, you can approach the pirate frigates and answer the communication like you do with the other ones. And the last type of frigate is an organic frigate, or sometimes referred to as a living frigate. These ships can be a valuable addition to your fleet, as I mentioned before. Just note they can be expensive, up to about 70 million for an S-Class. But using a living frigate on expeditions will get you some very rare rewards, including upgrades for living ships. However, to claim them, it's a completely different process and there are a number of steps involved. So the first thing you need to do is already have a few frigates and send them on 3-star expeditions. 3-star expeditions occur more often as you level up your fleet. Eventually, it doesn't take too long, but eventually one of these expeditions will bring you back a blueprint for a dream aerial. Once you have the blueprint, you can craft a dream aerial. Once you make it, just put it in your exosuit. If you don't lose it, this is the only one you ever need to make. Next, you'll need to fly to an asteroid field and start mining asteroids. The best place to find an asteroid is a ring planet or next to a space station. They nearly always have an asteroid field right near them. Keep mining asteroids and after a few minutes you'll get an anomaly detector. Now these are a single-use item only. This means you need a separate anomaly detector for every living frigate you want to claim. So it's not a bad idea to collect a few if you want more than one living frigate. Now this third one is very important. Make sure you remove any void eggs from your inventory. There is a bug which can prevent the living frigate encounter if you have a void egg on you. To be safe, I'd suggest you put any void eggs in your storage containers. Now, you can't get a living frigate encounter if you're in an abandoned, uncharted or data unavailable system. I'd recommend you mainly look for living frigates in a normal yellow star system populated by the Corvex, Gek or Viking, and it has an economy. Once you're ready, open up your inventory and hover your cursor over the anomaly detector and select the begin scan option. Then start pulsing through space. Just note you could be pulsing for over 20 minutes. Watch the bottom right hand corner of your screen and stop as soon as you see the whale song detected message. And you will see the living frigate right in front of you. Approach the living frigate and answer the communication. You will go through a series of dialogue and then you can claim the living frigate and add it to your fleet. To get more living frigates, you need to go to a different system. There is only one living frigate per system. And just repeat the process to get your next living frigate. Now, there is one more thing you need to know about living frigates. You have the option to feed them, and this will change their stats and their specialty. This is a complicated and it's a very long, drawn out process. Trust me, I know. I have done this on all the living frigates on my main save. The short version is there are hundreds and hundreds of recipes you can make in the game, and these fall into about 65 different food groups. You need to feed your frigate a food from all 65 groups and record the results of each one to find out which food group gives it the best stats. Here's a screenshot of just some of the foods I have in storage that make up part of the 65 groups. Now, if this sounds like a long and painful process, that's because it is. Right about now, you're probably wondering why anyone would do it. And the truth is, you don't need to do it. It is completely unnecessary. However, if you do go through the pain and make all these foods, your living frigates will become some of the most powerful frigates in the game. If enough people are interested, I may make a video explaining how to do it with all the food groups and everything you need to know. Just let me know in the comments if you'd like to see it. Okay, now you know how to get all the different types of frigates. I'll give you some general tips on what to look for when you're out recruiting them. As I said earlier, the class of the frigate is completely irrelevant. Every frigate will get to S-class on its own, so ignore the class. The number one thing you should look at when recruiting a frigate is the number in its specialty. This is the most important stat on every single frigate. I will explain a little bit more about this later, but your frigate expeditions are also organised by the specialty, which is why the specialty stat is so important. For example, a combat frigate has a combat specialty. The number one thing you want a combat frigate to be good at is combat. This is the same for all the other types of frigates. You want trade frigates to have a great trade stat, industrial frigates to have a good industrial stat, and so on. Now, as a general rule, any frigate with a starting stat of 20 points or above in its specialty will be a good frigate to get and easily do what you need it to in the game. A frigate with a starting stat of 25 or higher will be a very good frigate. And if you find a frigate with a starting stat of 30 or over, these will be an excellent frigate. Now, I think the maximum is 40 points on a frigate that you can find. At least that's the highest I've ever seen, but anything over 30 is gold. These will all turn out to be awesome frigates. Now, this is why I say the class is irrelevant, because the B class starting with a starting stat of say 29 will always end up being more powerful than an S class with a starting stat of 24. It all comes down to the points they start at and the points you get from each level, which is capped. So your main priority is to find a frigate with a good starting stat in their specialty. Also, once all your frigates are S-class and fully upgraded, you'll get a 5-star fleet rating. I'll explain more about this when we send them on expeditions, but even a low-level frigate will eventually become a good one. Just how good depends on their starting stat in their specialty. Now you will find some frigates with good secondary stats occasionally, but overall these are not that important in the big picture. Great to have, but not necessary. Just try to avoid any negative stats if you can. These will always become positive numbers anyway when you level up the frigate. All it means is you're starting from a negative number in that stat. So find frigates with good secondary stats if you can, but don't let these compromise the specialty stat. The specialty stat is the most important. Now I put the importance of traits in the same category as the secondary stats. It's great to have good ones, but the specialty stat is by far and away the most important. Try to avoid any negative ones if possible, but remember these level up as well and will also become positive. Now some traits are useless by the way, so avoid them if you can. For example, one trait you get is damage reduction, but eventually all your frigates will become immune to damage, so there's no point in having a trait that reduces damage. It's just taking up points that could be used for a more beneficial trait. Okay, now you know how to get them and what to look for, let's talk about what you need in your fleet. As I said earlier, the expeditions you send your frigates on are also specialised. There are 5 types of frigate expedition. These are combat, trade, industrial, exploration, and balanced. There are 5 new expeditions every day and there could be multiple ones of the same type. So it's highly recommend you get frigates of every type, especially at the start. Later in the game you can customize your fleet however you want. But if you're starting out, I'll show you what I'd recommend to begin with. Now as I said, you can have a total of 30 frigates, and a balanced fleet is key to succeeding in frigate expeditions and getting the best rewards. Here's a couple of different combinations I would recommend as a good starting point for newer players, but you can play with these layouts as you see fit. And as you get living frigates, you can start swapping some over. The objective is to make sure you can complete all 5 frigate expeditions every day, no matter what type they are, and to try and get the highest possible fleet score to get the best rewards. Again, I'll explain more about this shortly. The other important thing to know is support frigates give a fuel saving benefit. What a lot of people don't realise though, is the benefit is measured as a total, not tons per light year or percentage per light year. The best way to think of this is support frigates are like a refueling ship. Once it runs out of fuel, it's out of fuel. After that, your support ships are costing you fuel with no further benefit for the expedition. What this means is, it's recommended you send support frigates on the shorter expeditions to maximise the fuel saving bonus, and leave them out on the really long expeditions as you will be better off using something else. So your frigates need fuel every time you send them on an expedition. You can check the fuel requirement over here. You learn the recipes to make frigate fuel when you first try and send them on an expedition, and you have not built a fleet command terminal yet. The game will tell you that you need to build the fleet command terminal in order to send your frigates on an expedition. Once you complete this, you'll get all the fuel recipes and 200 tons of frigate fuel as a reward. Now frigate fuel comes in 3 sizes. You have 50 tons, 100 tons and 200 tons. Frigate fuel is also made from tritium and dihydrogen. Both of these are really easy to get, so I personally prefer not to recruit any support frigates at all. If making fuel is an issue for you early on, you may find having a couple of support frigates helpful. It's totally up to you. And by the way, when you make frigate fuel, just put it in your freighter's inventory. That's all you need to do in order to fuel the frigates, just make it and keep it in the freighter's inventory. The rest happens automatically. Now as I said, there are 5 frigate expeditions every day, so you will need to build a minimum of 5 command rooms. However, it is recommended you build 6 command rooms at the start, as some of the expeditions can take 20 hours or more. This means you can get a situation where 5 new expeditions appear and you have 1 fleet still out on an expedition. So now you can do those 5 plus the 1 out already, which means you need 6 command terminals to do it. I'd also recommend you build a command room. close by the bridge of your freighter with all your terminals in it. I do it on all my freighters. That way you can easily interact with them all when they're on expeditions. Now eventually, when all your frigates have leveled up, you will complete all the expeditions in around 8 hours or less, so you won't need the extra command terminal. I'd also recommend you build your galactic shopping terminal close by, so it's easy to sell all the stuff you don't want to keep that your expeditions bring back. You can round out your command room by installing the planetary scanner in there as well, so it's close by the bridge and making it easy to explore new systems. Okay, last thing you need to know about sending your frigates on expeditions. You can send your frigates on expeditions by interacting with the freighter's navigator on the bridge, and he will show the available expeditions for that day. As I said, there are 5 different types. Combat expeditions will give you units, crafted items, pirate loot, and a chance of carrier AI fragments. Exploration expeditions will give you resources, curiosities, and rare items. There is also a chance to find a lost artifact. These are the ones that are hundreds of years old and you can sell. Industrial expeditions bring you back units, resources, and some crafted items. There's also a chance to get a lost artifact, as well as starship storage upgrades and salvage frigate modules. Trade expeditions bring back units, crafted materials, and random items. Also has a chance of bringing back a starship storage upgrade. And balance expeditions will give you a random mixture of all the rewards. So when you send your frigates on an expedition, you will need to allocate the frigates best suited for the mission type. Now, frigate missions come in different difficulties. The difficulty is indicated by the star rating. A 1-star mission is easy, and a 3-star mission is the most difficult. There are no expeditions higher than a 3-star difficulty. The higher the difficulty, the better the reward. Now, when you assemble your fleet for an expedition, it has a fleet rating. Anytime your fleet rating is 2 stars higher than the expedition difficulty, your frigates are invincible and they will not take damage. So if the expedition difficulty is 1 star, you want to send a fleet with a 3-star rating. If the difficulty is 2 star, send a fleet with a 4-star rating. And if the difficulty is 3 star, send a 5-star fleet. If your fleet rating is only 1 star above or equal to the difficulty rating, you have a chance of damage. And if your fleet rating is lower than the expedition difficulty, it's likely they will take damage. Once all your frigates are high enough, you will always get a 5-star fleet rating though. But the point here is to always try and make sure your fleet strength is 2 stars above the expedition difficulty, so you have no chance of damage, or your frigate being destroyed. And yes, they can be destroyed. Now the rewards you get are also based on your fleet strength, which is the frigate total right here. The rewards scale up once your fleet strength is over 100, and anything at 150 or above, you'll get the best reward from that category. So the idea is try and reach the 150 total in the type of mission first and foremost. You can also find upgrades that you put in your freighter's tech inventory. These will increase your frigate expedition points as well. There are 6 types: combat defense, trade, exploration, industrial, speed, and fuel efficiency. And you can also use your supercharged squares in your freighter to further increase the stack gain. You can see here the extra points I'm getting from my freighter upgrades. You can also craft frigate upgrades to further increase the points for an expedition. Learn and unlock the blueprints for them at the freighter upgrade terminal. So you can craft a fuel oxidizer, which will give you 10 points to speed, the explosive drones, 10 points for combat, holographic analyzer, which will give you 10 points for exploration, the mind control device, which will give you 10 points to trade, and the mineral compressor, which will give you 10 points to industrial. Once you craft them, you can place them here in the expedition screen. Now these are really only useful early on, as once your frigates are upgraded even a little bit, they will have plenty of points on their own. Okay, so now it's time to send some fleets out on expeditions. When I allocate my frigates, there's a couple of things I want to try and achieve. First and foremost, I always want to make sure my fleet can't take any damage by ensuring the fleet rating is 2 stars better than the expedition difficulty. And second, I want to try and aim for a 150 fleet rating in the type of expedition if it's possible, while still having enough frigates to complete all 5 of the expeditions. It's always a balancing act depending on the type of expeditions you get each day. Okay, so today I have 1 industrial, 1 combat, 1 exploration, and 2 balanced expeditions. I'll start at the top with the industrial expedition. I have 7 industrial frigates, so I can spare 5 of them for the expedition, and I will still have 1 left for each balanced expedition. So let's set this one up. As you can see, I have a 5-star fleet rating, so they won't take any damage. I also have over 150 in the frigate total for industry, meaning I'll get the best rewards for an industrial expedition. And I can send them on their way. So next I'll do the combat expedition. Again, I have a 5-star fleet rating, so they won't take any damage. And I have over 150 in the frigate total for combat. Again, I'll get the best reward. Now I'll do the exploration one. I have a 5-star fleet rating, so they won't take any damage. And I have over 150 in the frigate total to get the best reward. Now with the balanced expeditions, the rewards are randomized across the 4 categories. And here's where the capital ship upgrades come in handy in reaching the 150 reward threshold. So another 5-star fleet rating, no damage. And with the capital ship upgrades, I have 150 in combat and trade and 100 in industry and exploration. Now the last one is only a 1-star difficulty, so I will use this one to mainly level up some lower frigates. Again, a 5-star fleet rating, so no damage. And with capital ship upgrades, I have a 150 fleet score in combat, industrial and trade, and only 72 in exploration. Now all that's left to do is wait for them to come back. You can see here at the command terminals they have a little hologram of each fleet, so you know they are active on an expedition. Now you will sometimes get a communication from frigates that are on an expedition. They may want your help in a battle or inspect an anomaly or something like that. These choices matter as they do affect the rewards a little, but you can ignore them if you want, if your fleet is strong enough. Now if a frigate does take damage, you'll usually get a communication from the frigate captain. If you answer the message, you get 2 options: recall the frigate or let it continue with the expedition. I highly recommend you recall it every time. If you let it continue the mission and it gets damaged again, it will be destroyed. You can also easily check the status of your frigates by using the fleet management terminal on the bridge. Now you repair a frigate by either teleporting to it or landing on it. Go up to the terminal and interact with it, and you can mark the damaged components. Also, you can use your scanner to look for damaged components. Approach the damaged component and interact with it. The cost to repair them is usually some easy to get resources. Once all the damage is repaired, you can leave the frigate. Also, because frigate expeditions take a while, it's likely you will be offline for most of it. Your frigates can still get damaged because frigate expeditions happen in real time. If you're offline though, they will not be destroyed, they will return to your freighter for repair. And one more thing, if you use the teleport option to teleport to a frigate that is currently on an expedition, you can't teleport back. You'll just need to fly up to the space station to teleport back to your freighter. When your frigates have finished the expedition, you will see these icons, and you'll need to go up to your command terminals and interact with them. You can see all the holograms have changed from blue to green to indicate they've returned and are ready to be debriefed. Interact with the terminal and go through the dialogue to collect your rewards. You will find rewards in your freighter cargo inventory. And that's about all there is to it. The basic idea is to find frigates that are great in their specialty, so you can focus on getting the 150 frigate score in order to get the best reward as often as possible. As always, thanks heaps for watching, and please give the video a like if you found it helpful, and maybe even subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Hope you have a good one and have fun out there.